Hello, fellow health enthusiasts. And if you're not feeling too enthusiastic about your health lately, then I hope you're going to make it through this short talk, because the information I'm going to share with you is going to make a tremendous improvement in your health. You might be thinking, why do I feel the need to pontificate on weight loss when it already has hundreds of infomercials dedicated to it? It's not just weight loss that concerns me. For 23 years in clinical practice, I've noticed some very disturbing trends as our entire health continues to decline. So stay with me as I make simple sense out of a very complex problem. Before we can appreciate how good things can be for us and how we can regain our health, we need to be aware of how matters of well-being have gone so wrong and got so out of control. If you're paying attention, you will begin to see a very big common denominator that does not have your best interests at heart. And you'll also discover a common sense, simple solution to not only losing weight, but to recapturing our health. I've observed that people get very upset when a commercial jet crashes and hundreds of people die. And yet, when the equivalent of many jets a day crashing, killing over 750,000 Americans is occurring, no one seems to be noticing. Yes, over 750,000 Americans are dying every year from iatrogenic disease. Iatrogenic disease means death due to modern medicine in Latin. Maybe they say it in Latin because this way no one knows what it means and we won't get too upset over it. But after cancer and heart disease, that is the leading cause of death of Americans. And to make matters worse, we're in the throes of an epidemic. And I'm not speaking yet about the diabetic epidemic or the obesity epidemic. I'm talking about the epidemic of prescription drug abuse. While we have a war on illegal drugs, over 15 million people admit abusing prescription drugs. Why, that is more than the combined number of people abusing heroin, cocaine, and hallucinogens. In 1992, there are only 7.8 million cases of this type of abuse reported. That means a whopping 94% increase. Or put another way, this growth and abuse of the modern system of medicine was growing at a rate that was 7 times the population growth of the entire country. How could that have happened? Because the television set said it was okay. Oh, come on, you say. People are smarter than that. That can't be the reason why. Americans will spend nearly $200 billion on medications this year. That's more than the federal government paid last year for education, agriculture, transportation, and the environment combined. It seems like just about every other commercial on TV lately goes something like this. And if you haven't seen this, then I really don't know where you've been. Hey, fella, what are you doing just standing there? Get over to your doctor and ask him for some drugs. We can't tell you what they are good for. We don't care what it is you have. But we're so sure you're going to want to play it safe and have some that we spend billions of dollars to remind you to get your doctors to prescribe you some dangerous drugs for a disease that you weren't aware of because we just invented it. By the way, tell your doctor if you have liver disease, kidney disease, or a perfectly functioning healthy body. Because when you take our stuff, it won't be functioning well for very long. If you'd like to get a sudden paralysis, stomach cramps with intermittent vomiting and diarrhea with hemorrhoids the size of guava melons, go blind, break out in hives, grow hair on your tongue, grow hair on your face if you're a woman, lose hair on your head if you're a man, then we've got something for you. Now, folks, you may think I'm kidding, but this next one, I promise you, is one of the side effects from a tranquilizer. A tongue that turns into a rectum. It says it right there on the packaging label, rectal tongue. I've searched all my textbooks and don't know what a rectal tongue is. But I do know I don't want one. This would be funny stuff, but sadly, the public is told to buy these things, and they do, to the tune of billions of dollars. What have we gotten for those billions? We've become much sicker. We now have diseases that were unheard of just a generation ago, which I'm counting as less than 40 years. We may be living longer, but we certainly are not living better. If you are tired of being sick and tired, then the first thing you need to do is realize that the system we have right now is not working. In fact, it is designed to work against you. When I was a child, we took drugs to get over an illness. Now they want us to take them for the rest of our lives. And I'd have no problem with that if they were good for us. But there isn't a drug out there that doesn't cause harmful side effects, which is one of the main reasons why the 750,000 people I mentioned earlier are dying. Well, at least they are no longer suffering. But what about the millions who are walking around in what seems to be a drunken stupor of exhaustion? People come into my office every day, and being that I live in Beverly Hills and Hollywood is up the block, I think a movie or some reality show is secretly being filmed called The Walking Dead, because these poor people look like they're answering the casting call. They are hopelessly wanting to feel better, and those cups of coffee that require a few dozen words to describe it and a half hour to make it no longer pack that jolt that got them through their day. In the consultation, they tell me for over an hour about all their health problems and show me over 10 prescriptions that they are taking. I open up the Physician's Desk Reference, a book that explains all the side effects of every medication known to modern medicine, and it turns out the problems they just told me about are right there in the book. It says if you take these drugs, you can get very, very sick. And you know what they say to me in all honesty? I don't think I should take any vitamins because they might interfere with my medications. Don't you think you have that a little mixed up there, fella? Do you think for just a minute that it might be possible that your medicine could be interfering with your health? After all, the book used by every doctor and health professional in America just said so. Who are you going to call for help? Not your pharmacist. It used to be all we needed was a good diet. Unfortunately, modern agriculture has figured out a way to grow food with no food value. Fruits and vegetables do not have the level of nutrients in them that they used to. That's one reason why we're always hungry. We're eating the equivalent of styrofoam. But who cares? It tastes good. How could it not with all the secret appetite stimulants they put in it? Oh, you didn't know that, did you? Well, how could you? It's a secret. Sadly, most Americans don't realize there is an intentional yet undisclosed effort to get them to consume larger portions of food. Is it a normal desire for a human being to want to consume an 8,591 calorie sandwich? Would it not just be easy to eat a medicine ball? I strongly believe in personal responsibility, but as it turns out, this one might not be our fault. Our foods are laced with chemicals that have only one purpose, to get us to eat more. And eat more we do, because we now have Syndrome X and an epidemic of diabetes and obesity, consequently leading us to a shortened lifespan, which is probably just as well, because I wouldn't want to have to go through life with no eyes and legs, which diabetes can lead to. I'm making light of this, but something has gone horribly wrong when this generation will be the first not to live as long as their parents. So, we have an entire industry dedicated to making us fat. Certainly they're not on your side. Who are you going to call? That clown over at your local hamburger stand? Maybe your local TV news station can help you. Maybe not. Today, the big trend on the news is to make us afraid of food supplements. Said slightly different, there is an ongoing effort to confuse the public over the health benefits of nutritional supplements. What is standing between my patients not getting well is their beliefs. But where do most of us get our belief systems from anyway? That rude little box that sits in the middle of our living rooms. Well, these days the screen is so big it comprises half of the supporting wall structures in your house. And when it comes to health news, the smiley journalist winking at you from the other side of the screen is reading a press release that was handed to them by their sponsors, the drug companies. Some of the nonsensical research breaking on the news can be understood to be the pure trash that it is by looking at it this way. Children that get hit by a car and killed in the crosswalk were wearing sneakers at the time. Therefore, it was the sneakers that killed them, and we should outlaw sneakers. We often hear that vitamin C is dangerous. The National Institute of Health seems to contradict themselves all the time on this subject. They state we can only absorb 200 milligrams of vitamin C, so don't bother taking more of it. On the other hand, the stuff is toxic over 200 milligrams. Well, you can't have it both ways. Which one is it? If we can't absorb it, how can it be dangerous? Of course, you never heard about the hundreds of studies that prove the benefits of high doses of vitamin C. What is devastating in connection to vitamin C is 450,000 people die a year from heart attacks. The breaking news in February of 2004 was that inflammation is what causes heart attacks. 25 years ago we knew this, but it's still breaking news. What wasn't in the news is vitamin C reduces inflammation. So, multiply 450,000 people that died because they got the wrong news by 25 years, and you have 11,250,000 people that didn't have to die. Let's put what I just said into perspective because I know that you don't know 11,250,000 people. A tsunami kills a few 100,000 people and the world has kicked into overdrive to donate money to help these victims. But I see it as 56 times more people died from ignorance over the last 25 years than from being drowned. And I don't see any large corporations rushing to donate money to all those victims. Or let's put it still another way. The people that died from the tsunami are 2% of the people that died because their local journalist doesn't know how to interpret the press releases he is handed to read. So who are you going to call? Not your anchor. He might tell you to lower your cholesterol, but did you know that reducing cholesterol doesn't change mortality statistics for heart disease? However, half the heart attacks occurring are from the statin drugs they recommend using to lower cholesterol, which has nothing to do with having a heart attack.